Today, we're on the ground at Consensus 2025, one of the biggest crypto conferences in the world. Robinhood Crypto's general manager sits down with us to discuss the new deal to acquire a Canadian crypto firm. And PayPal's Jose Fernandez de Ponte breaks down the online payment system's crypto plans. Welcome to CNBC's Crypto World. I'm Mackenzie Sigalos here at Consensus 2025 in Toronto, Canada. Now, we'll have more on this conference in just a bit, but first, let's take a quick look at markets. Prices are mixed this morning, with Bitcoin trading flat, holding on to the $103,000 level. Ether, however, climbed more than 1% to just under $2,600, and XRP rose less than 1%. Now, a quick note about a new stock with a focus on crypto. Israel-based brokerage platform eToro debuted on the Nasdaq today under the ticker eTOR. The stock began trading just before 12:30 Eastern and immediately soared by 40%. Shares were priced at $52, above the initially expected range of $46 to $50. eToro previously planned an IPO in March, but set those plans aside amid tariff uncertainty. You can check for the latest on the company's new stock at CNBC.com. All right, back to Consensus for our main story, which has gone international this year, taking place first in Hong Kong in February and now in Toronto. The vibe is a little different, shifting from a cultural conference for crypto's most ardent fans to one for the financial world too. Lots of big names on stage like the CEO of Wisdom Tree and the digital asset leads for both JP Morgan and Citi. JP Morgan and Ondo Finance using the conference to roll out a new partnership to tokenize real-world assets, a $100 billion bet on blockchain's future. Consensus also features speakers from Coinbase, Bitfarms, and more. Now, to kick things off, I sat down with the general manager of Robinhood Crypto, Johann Kerbrat, to discuss yesterday's news that the retail trading platform agreed to acquire the Canadian crypto firm WonderFi for nearly $180 million. WonderFi operates 2 regulated crypto exchanges in Canada. The acquisition is expected to close in the second half of this year, subject to regulatory approvals and approvals by WonderFi's shareholders. Johann spoke about the acquisition and what else is in store for Robinhood Crypto, especially as it relates to the company's continued global expansion. So we're here in Toronto, and you just announced that you'll be acquiring WonderFi, which is a Canadian-based firm. What's the thinking behind this deal, and how does it expand Robinhood's crypto offering?
Yeah, well, overall, the main point is that Canada is a very attractive market for us. It is projected to be more than 30 million users using crypto here in Canada, and the revenue projection for all the actors combined is about 900 million in 2025. So for us, we thought that it was a very attractive market. And then when you look at WonderFi, they have 2 of the longest standing crypto products here in Canada, and they also have a license, an investment dealer license from CNBC, which I think is really important. It shows that they've been working with the regulator and they've been able to bring products safely to customers.
Now, earlier this week, you were at the SEC on Monday for one of the roundtables hosted under Paul Atkins, the new chair, discussing tokenization. And it's pretty fascinating to see Robinhood's evolution in terms of your relationship with that regulator, going from having a Wells notice to then being asked to discuss tokenization. Walk me through how that relationship has matured.
Yeah, I think we've seen how the relationship has changed. It was an honor to be there on Monday, really being able to discuss about a real problem, which I think is how do we use the crypto technology or the blockchain technology to actually improve the traditional finance system that has never really changed in the past 10, 20 years. And we see how tokenization of stablecoin, for example, of currency, has been helpful, how many people are able to use stablecoin now to actually transfer 24/7 without any concern around reversal or fraud or anything like this. And we think at Robinhood that it's actually the future, and we can bring a lot more traditional assets on-chain using tokenization. The conversation with the SEC was very open-minded. There was a lot of discussion, pros and cons, and I think it's really great to see the regulatory environment changing in the US and catching up with some of the competitors internationally.
What kind of questions was Paul Atkins asking you during that session?
Well, Paul Atkins actually did an address at the very beginning, really explaining how tokenization can change the financial system. And some of the debates were really around the risk and the advantages of tokenization. And there was also some example on how people are using it. So I think having this debate here in the U.S. Is really important and show that we want to embrace the technology instead of just regulating it and turning it off like it was before.
Now, earlier today, Ondo Finance and JP Morgan announced that they'd be working together on tokenizing real-world assets. Your CEO, Vlad Tenev, has talked a lot about tokenizing private equity markets. What do you need from the SEC and perhaps other regulators to make that possible, and what's realistic this year, in a few years?
Yeah, I mean, there's a few problems that we have to solve. Like, one is around custody of this asset. There's also like, do we need to re-register the token, or can we just use the underlying asset to register? There is how are we going to treat the DeFi aspect? So there's a lot of talking points, and I think it will take quite some time to get the right structure from the U.S. government. But you also see, like, around the world, other countries that have adopted more rules. For example, Singapore has been pretty active on tokenization, other countries as well. So I think at this point, they are doing the right thing. They are engaging with companies like ours and, like the few that you mentioned. And I think from there, we can work together and build like the right setup for everyone to succeed.
Now, we've seen revised guidance from the SEC, but also the OCC, the FDIC, the Fed, and this has certainly changed the way that banks are thinking about working in blockchain tech. But how are you guys leveraging this more favorable regulatory environment at Robinhood?
Well, we have always worked very well with the government. We worked under different administration. We are registered by the SEC, by FINRA on the brokerage side. On the crypto side, we have a New York DFS, BIT license, and many licenses across the globe as well. So, I think for us, the main focus is to make sure that we are building the products that regulators are comfortable with, and also that our customers are wanting. And the first thing we want to make sure is that we offer all the products that our customers are asking for, and working with the regulator to make sure we can do it safely.
What's your strategy for scaling crypto staking and lending?
So right now we have staking in the EU, and it's something that has been very embraced by our customer. I think what they like about it is not just the getting the reward, but they like to participate into the network. They like to feel good about the fact that they are helping secure the Ethereum or the Solana network. And so we're really encouraged by this result, and we're continuing to help educate themselves, to really understand what staking really means. And we'll keep developing this offering.
So we're here a couple blocks away from the Toronto Stock Exchange, which is very much the business capital of Canada. And in so many respects, this country really was a first mover in crypto adoption. The first spot crypto ETFs were both launched on the TSX. Beyond WonderFi and your recent acquisition, is there anything else any other conversations you're looking forward to having here in Toronto?
Well, I mean, we're all here at the Consensus Conference, and it's really exciting to see like everyone being here and working towards like this adoption of crypto and making it like a mainstream asset. I think for us, being here, being able to announce the acquisition just yesterday, and being able to discuss with everybody about, how do we bring the mission of Robinhood into Canada is extremely exciting.
Now, I also sat down with Jose Fernandez de Ponte, General Manager of the Blockchain, Crypto, and Digital Currencies team at PayPal. Back in September, the company announced that it was allowing U.S. merchants to buy, hold, and sell crypto from their business accounts. We discussed how that's going and what else is in store for PayPal. So at PayPal, you're leading efforts in everything to do with Web3 and crypto, and one big project was getting PYUSD off the ground, PayPal's US dollar peg stablecoin. It's been live now for a year and a half, and you spent another year and a half to 2 years with regulators before that to get all the regulatory approval. In terms of where you go from here, it seemed as though we were so close to getting stablecoin legislation, and then that stalled out in Capitol Hill. Does that even affect, though, what you're trying to achieve with PYUSD?
I think that getting that legislation in place is fundamentally important, not only for us, but for the sector in the US more generally. If you think of what we are trying to do, we're trying to do three things. We're trying to make sure that PayPal and Venmo are the gateway product to get more people into crypto. We are very aware that the uniqueness of what we have is for 100 million consumers and merchants and the distribution access. A lot of people that we have on the crypto side are first-time crypto users. There's a ton of people who are saying, hey, I'm intrigued by Bitcoin or ETH, I'm going to put $100 on it. I don't know the other companies in the sector, but I know PayPal, I trust them. So a lot of people get into crypto through us, and that leads us to continue to add tokens. We added Sol and Link recently, we will continue to add stuff. So making the PayPal and Venmo wallet a mainstream destination is an important one. The other two are mostly about the stablecoin for payments. So it's important for us that our stablecoin is available everywhere. Crypto capital markets are one place. And we think that it's important that there is competition in stablecoins, and that's why we are doing work with Coinbase and others. And the third one that goes back to the legislation is we want hundreds of millions of wallets, hundreds of millions of people carrying stablecoins in their wallets to pay. And to provide that security, it is important that there is legislation in place. We are seeing that in the UK and in Europe and in Japan and in Singapore, and being able to get to conclusion in the US would be a very, very important feat.
Now you mentioned your recent deal that you struck with Coinbase.
Yes.
What's the significance of that for PYUSD and for your customers?
Well, think about it. We have a lot of consumers and a lot of merchants. We are not big players in the institutional investment space. Coinbase has that. If all of a sudden you can connect two platforms where you get consumers and merchants and institutional investors, and then you can remove the friction and remove fees to buy PYUSD and make that available everywhere, it drives liquidity, and liquidity drives cost down and drives adoption. So we think it's a very, very good combination of putting a merchant network and an investor network together and see what the network effects, how they expand.
Now PYUSD's market cap has kind of fluctuated. You
Yeah.
hit the $1 billion mark, then it came down to below 500 million. It's come back up since then. Now you had some incentives around that, which drove people into using the token. But what's the long-term plan? Because right now the market is still very much dominated by Tether and USDC. So where is PYUSD's place in this?
So as you were saying, it went over $1 billion, came down, now is about 900 million or so. The market is very enamored with market cap for a couple of reasons. And I think one is relevant and the other is less relevant. The less relevant one is that traditionally stablecoin issuers make money from the yield on their reserve. If that's the way you make money, you care a lot about market cap, because more assets on the reserve, more yield, the stablecoin issuer makes more money. We have many other ways to monetize the stablecoin, so we are less interested in that part, and eventually that part is going to get competed away. The second reason that why size is important is liquidity. Size drives liquidity. You don't want the slippage when you're moving between stable coins or when you're moving from crypto to stablecoin. So there's a minimum scale that we think is relevant. I don't believe that you're going to see 300 stablecoins that matter. A minimum scale is going to be important. I also don't think that you're going to see 2 that matter. So we definitely want to be bigger than we are today, but we look at 4 numbers, and market cap is only 1. So we look at market cap, we look at the number of on-chain transfers, and we're doing about 4 or 5 billion in on-chain transfer volume every month, which is highly relevant. We look at the number of transactions. There are 1.5 million transactions every month happening on PYUSD, and we look at the number of active wallets, which is in the range of 40 to 50,000. So all those things, you need liquidity, but then you need activity. We don't want hundreds of millions of PYUSD just sitting there as collateral, not doing much. We want it to move around and to interact and moving from wallet to wallet.
Last year you rolled out more of a crypto strategy with merchants where they could accept crypto. What does that look like? What does adoption look like? Is it popular? Is it,
It is popular, especially because, again, we're removing friction. If you're going to a merchant today and you say, hey, you should accept stablecoin payments or crypto payments in general, they're going to look at that and say, yeah, I understand it's going to be cheaper, but I have a ton in my product roadmap. Where do I slot it? How many incremental customers? What we did last year by enabling crypto checkout is that basically they don't need to do anything. You say, hey, look, you get it. It's a freebie. You don't need to change your integration. You don't need to do anything different. And you will keep accepting fiat. So put it out there and see what happens. And we are starting to see transactions and consumers who want to pay. We will be expanding that. We want to be able to do more of that, because when you tell to a merchant, I've never seen a merchant who's adding an additional payment method because it was cheaper. The reason for a merchant to accept a new payment method is always incremental business. It's how much more revenue, how many additional consumers we're going to get. And the moment that you go there and say, look, there are 100 million consumers out there who are holding stable coins in their wallets. And most of them, they're not in the US. So you want to open up your business and get traffic from Asia, from Africa, from South America. With a very easy integration, this is a very good way to do it. So removing that friction and opening up that new user base, I believe that's what is going to do the trick and get merchants. More companies. So we are doing it. Other payments companies are starting to do it. So it's starting to be in the water supply a little bit, but it will take time. I don't like crypto winters. I think that we need to keep the right time perspective here. As we have said before, we are in year 5 of a 10-year journey. These things will take time.
Okay, that's all for Crypto World today, but be on the lookout for more conversations from this conference, including with Eric Trump, the co-founder of the new Bitcoin mining firm, American Bitcoin. Look forward to seeing you tomorrow.